19-year-old mother and a firefighter are recovering from injuries suffered during an apartment fire this weekend in Neenah.
Story we first brought you yesterday. We're learning today the police department right across the street is one of several reasons crews were able to act so quickly. Emily Riley live now at the scene of that fire after hearing from officials about why this fire could have easily turned deadly. Emily.
Bill, I'm at the Neenah Court apartment complex on Marathon Avenue, where the close proximity to a fire hydrant and the police station being just across the street were a few factors that stopped the fire from being worse. Adam Dorn, the assistant fire marshal for Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue, says the 19-year-old woman has minor burns on her hands and face and is no longer in the hospital. Her 8-month-old child was also transported to the hospital with her, but was not injured. I'm told the injured firefighter is receiving medical treatment.
They experienced high heat and very low visibility, and that because of that high heat, they decided to back out. And when they were backing out of the apartment, he ended up twisting a knee and injured his knee.
He's expected to make a full recovery. Dorn says it's better the fire happened during the day instead of at night.
Now, if this was at night, every smoke detector counts, no matter what time of day it is, right? But if this was at night and more of those smoke detectors were not working, it could have been tragic.
In this whole Fox Valley area, we're very fortunate to have 24/7 coverage for police, fire, and EMS. So the citizens of Neenah, as well as the surrounding communities, they have lots of emergency personnel always working.
Dorn also says one of the smoke detectors in an affected unit wasn't working because its batteries were out. Dorn believes the origin of the fire was by a balcony, and says investigators are unable to rule out smoking materials as the cause. The Red Cross is helping the 12 people who still need a place to stay after the fire, and officials are aiming to have them back in the apartment tonight, except for those in the 2 affected units. Reporting live in Neenah, Emily Riley, Action 2 News.